Collins coming to you from San Antonio, Texas, the second most powerful, passionate, and purposeful coach and speaker in the world. Changes. This is by special request from a dear friend and client on changes and how to handle changes, how to handle changing times, how to traverse the unavoidable, unexpected changes of life that can throw people completely off course many, many, many times. And so first we're going to dig into the 4 basic personality styles very quickly because changes occur more naturally. The ability to adapt to them occurs more naturally for certain behavioral styles. So there's 4 basic behavioral styles that we're looking at. If you study the DISC profile, Google it, you can get it, D-I-S-C. D is the driver, the dominant, the intense. I is the life of the party. Oh my God, how are you, Sally? Haven't seen you so long. Really? Oh my God, the kids are fabulous. The S is like an Irish setter, very stable, very steady, very sweet, security-based. And then you have your C's. The C's tend to be the engineer type who are really not interested in what you think and certainly not what you feel. Show me the empirical data to back up what it is that you're stating. So each personality style or natural behavioral bent is going to have either a little more work when it comes to changes or it's going to be a little easier when it comes to changes. The D's and the I's tend to adapt to change as well because the D interprets the change primarily as a challenge and an opportunity to do something creative and different. The I tends to just always have a really good outlook on life. Normally a very upbeat personality, normally very happy and just like, oh my gosh, okay. But they can also tend towards the dramatic and overemphasize the emotional nature of something. And then your S's tend to handle it a little bit better. You won't see them sweat on the outside. And the C's assess quickly the deductive syllogism argument to come up with a precise conclusion on what might be the very best option to take after ruminating on all said options. So each personality style makes a difference. Discover what yours is, and then you can train yourself. Now the good news is you can train yourself no matter what personality you profile you have by speaking to yourself. By speaking to yourself, by writing on a note card what you intend to program into your mind when it comes to how you address changes and problems. One of my favorite quotes that I love, and it really helps to be a person who has a life of faith, is this: I may not know what the future holds, and I know who holds the future. That brings a sense of security and a sense of peace that everything is happening for a reason, and you have the privilege of figuring out why. For me as a person of faith, it's opportunities to be transformed and to be fruitful. Okay? Opportunities to serve and be transformed. I was looking at a quote from Tolstoy this morning that said, everybody talks about changing the world, but nobody thinks about changing themselves. Yesterday's video is about change yourself. Start there. So how can you adjust it? Tony Robbins says something fascinating. He says, there is no meaning to any situation or circumstance except the meaning we attach to it. The meaning we attach to it. Case in point, my 4 sons, they are trained to be gentlemen. It's not about the other person, it's about being gentlemen. When we go into public places, you can have, say, 2 ladies. If there's a lady approaching the door at the same time of one of my sons, they will hold the door open. One lady, old school maybe, will interpret that and say, how kind, how chivalrous, what a nice young man. Another could be like, I'm so offended. I'm a feminist, and I don't need anybody to hold the door open for me. Same situation, 2 completely different perspectives on that. There is no meaning to any situation except the meaning you attach to it. So when it comes to changes, curveballs, it's what life is all about. It's what made the movie The Matrix so fascinating in the beginning, because the philosophical dialogue was predicated upon these machines' ability to say, you know, these people have a pretty crappy life, so let's just create a construct, programming their mind where everything is nirvana and everything is awesome and they don't have any problems. And it said the system kept breaking down because people couldn't handle it. They finally figured out that people discover their identity through tragedy and through misery and through pain. Very interesting. Grab a scotch and a cigar and sit down and think on that for about 3 or 4 hours with a good buddy of yours. We begin to realize who we really are through the issues of life that arise that actually give life its flavor. So there's 2 ways that you can handle changes and unexpected events. One is to handle it with fear. The next is to handle it with faith. Fear will begin to go into all the things that can go wrong, would go wrong, and all the negative effects that are going to take place because of this change. Faith says, cool, adventure. Let me get my mind right. What are the positive things that can happen from this? How can I capitalize on this? What are the opportunities in this? It doesn't come natural. It comes easier to some. And if you would like to handle change well and become adaptable, I was talking to my buddy Jonas Krafts the other day, who is a former NFL football player, and I applied what he said in their football training to life. He said, first it's mobility, then it's agility, then hostility. You can't get in there and kick butt without injuring yourself if you don't first mobilize. Does that make sense? Mobility, agility, then hostility. And the same thing with us when it comes to changes. Mobilize, get your steady, be prepared to be flexible. Once you're flexible, then you become agile. That means you can move into the situation with finesse. Then you can become hostile and take territory with intensity. You guys have an awesome day. And remember, how you see change makes all the difference.